Welcome to the Small Business Tax Savings Podcast, your weekly dose of accounting and tax tips specific to small business owners. You will be on your way to growing your business and paying the least amount in taxes as legally possible. Here's your host, Mike Jesowshek, CPA.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Today's topic is how can I set up my business for success in 2023? So it's a new year, and with the start of every new year, there seems to be a sense of refresh or restart. But the problem with so many people is that they do nothing at all, or they give up by the end of January. And my goal in this article is to give you some action steps and things to be thinking about as we start a new year. My hope is that you take action on these items and actually make 2023 the year you make a major impact to both you and your business. So let's dive in. The first question that I want to address when we come to this topic is this idea of, is bookkeeping important for my business? And if you've been around our content, our podcast, our blog for a while, you know that the answer to this is a big yes. Bookkeeping is the backbone to every business. You may be one of those business owners that right now, as you read this, as you listen to this, are working on bookkeeping still for the prior year, for 2022. It doesn't have to be that way. If you do not even know what bookkeeping is or why it's important, I recommend you taking an hour or so and going through a series that we did about a year or two ago called Everything You Need to Know About Bookkeeping. This will really put you ahead of the game as far as understanding what bookkeeping is and getting to this concept on why it's so important in your business. And I don't want to go through all of that today because, again, we have a whole series on why bookkeeping is important. But I do want to go through a few action items and steps that you can take to start doing regularly to make bookkeeping a success, to make bookkeeping an easy part of your process so that you can use bookkeeping to create success in your business in 2023. So there's three kind of main things I want to talk about just important key things about bookkeeping. The first one is update your bookkeeping regularly. I say monthly at a minimum. The second one is having a separate bank account and or credit card specific to your business and no commingling, no business and personal expense mixing. And the second one is keep great records and receipts. So let's dive into these three topics a little bit further. Update your bookkeeping regularly, monthly at a minimum. Continually putting bookkeeping off causes stress, anxiety, a higher likelihood for mistakes. So what I say is just put a task on your calendar every week, every month, whatever it might be, to just take the time out and get it done. By doing bookkeeping on a regular basis, you now have data available to you that you can use to improve your business, understand your performance kind of as the year is going on, analyze that performance, plan for the future, as well as get a really good idea of where you're at from a tax standpoint at any point. So again, key thing with bookkeeping is do it regularly, monthly at a minimum. The second key thing when it comes to bookkeeping, and again, these might seem like basic concepts, but they're things that are going to make your life so much easier. The second key thing is having a separate bank account and or credit card specific to your business and having no commingling, not mixing business and personal expenses. This is going to make that actual task of bookkeeping so much easier because you don't have to sift through personal transactions. So not only is this going to be good for your business and audit proof and everything else, but it's going to make that actual task of bookkeeping so much easier. Always ensure that you run no personal expenses on the business accounts. Now, I know in rare occasions, there's going to be times where you accidentally put a personal expense on the business account, and that's fine. Record it as an owner's draw or reimburse yourself from the business for that item that you paid for personally. If you accidentally have business expenses on your personal account, create a spreadsheet of them. Have record of them so that when you're doing those year-end tax filings, you can factor those in. Or again, reimburse yourself if you paid for something personally that's business-related. Utilize an accountable plan that we talk about. If you paid something personally on the business side, mark it as a draw, or you personally reimburse your business for that expense. The next piece and the third piece that we want to talk about is keep great records and receipts. First things first, don't worry about keeping a paper copy of everything. Keep everything stored digitally. It's easier to find if you need it down the road. You don't have boxes of receipts all over your office. Keep receipts for everything. Write directly on the receipt the details of the transaction. We say write on it who, what, where, when, and why. Take a picture of it, store it on a digital file. This is going to make you sleep better at night, knowing that you have proof to back up your expenses. And there is one other item that I want to talk about in this idea of bookkeeping that wasn't part of those three, but I can think we can intertwine into different ones, is to utilize a cloud-based accounting software. I was just talking to someone the other day where they were doing their bookkeeping all by hand or manually entering all these transactions. And I understand why that is such a hard task. I understand why they keep putting it off because that's a lot of work. They have to write in the date, the description, the amount, all of that has to be done manually. With cloud-based bookkeeping, we use a software called Xero, QuickBooks Online, and other options. There's many options out there. But with most of these cloud-based bookkeeping softwares, you can download your transactions. You can connect your bank feed to the accounting software. It will automatically download those transactions, and then all you have to do is code it. Code it to the account that makes sense. Here's my promise to you. If you keep up with your bookkeeping on a regular basis, you keep business and personal items separate, and you file all necessary documents, invoices, receipts, etc. in a digital file, as soon as you receive them, you will have less stress, be on top of your business, and pay less in taxes. So I stress this again, what better time than now at the beginning of the year to get into this practice and set up your business for success here in 2023. So bookkeeping is a key part of setting up your business for success. The second part, or the second question I want to ask is tax planning important for my business? Again, if you've been following us for a while and if you're here on this podcast, you know that the answer to this is tax planning is extremely important for your business. Now, most business owners, when they hear the word tax, they think about tax filings when we say they should first think about tax planning. Now, don't get me wrong. Tax filing is important and required by law. However, tax filing is simply taking information after the year is over and sending it to the federal and state agencies. Tax planning is something that is done throughout the year, and tax filing happens after the year is over. So we are coming up on tax filing season, where you're going to be filing your tax returns for your 2020 activity. However, January is also the beginning of the 12-month tax planning season for 2023. That's right. You should be learning and implementing tax strategies throughout the entire year. So here are some tips and suggestions that you can do to ensure 2023 is the year that you pay the least amount in taxes as legally possible. Number one, listen to the Small Business Tax Savings Podcast weekly. Now, this is a shameless plug, but this podcast was built for you. All of my time and effort goes into ensuring small business owners like you are aware of the tax strategies that are available. And this podcast, our blog, serves as my tool to deliver that to you, the small business owner. So listen weekly. Take 15 minutes to read our article, listen to our podcast, whatever way you like to learn, take a little bit of time out to learn about those strategies, and you will save taxes. Second one is read our weekly blog post. Each episode we produce comes with an accompanying blog post. Therefore, again, whether you prefer to learn via audible or visually on our YouTube channel, or some combination of the two, we have an option for you. And the third, and this is probably the most key point of all this, is implement. Learning never stops. You need to do more than learn. You need to implement. If you find a topic that we talk about on our podcast, on our blog, that really resonates with you, put it on your to-do list. Put it on your to-do list and act on it while it's fresh in your mind. So again, when it comes to tax planning, here are some key tips that I recommend to you. Listen to our Small Business Tax Savings Podcast. Read our weekly blog posts. Read other people's. Jump on other people's podcasts. Learn about tax strategies. But then the most important part, implement. Once you've done that learning, put a to-do on your calendar to implement while it's fresh in your mind. And again, here's my promise to you. If you start learning and thinking about tax planning here in January, you will set yourself up for success to make 2023 the year you pay the least amount in taxes legally possible. However you prefer to learn and implement, we have a solution for you. Again, free content. As we discussed previously, our podcast and blog are both great free resources. Now, our blog and our podcast, if you've been around for a while, you know this is a no fluff zone. We get right to the point, describe the strategies exactly in an easy to understand way. Second option, join our tax minimization program. If you're looking to dig deeper on everything that we talk about here on the podcast, we've built a complete training program for you to do just that. Within our tax minimization program, we have content, videos, templates, downloads, monthly private webinars, a private Facebook group. You also have access to our team for general tax and accounting questions. And finally, another option is hire a tax strategist. If you don't want to go about this alone and you'd rather have a tax planning expert or advisor work alongside you to provide a tax plan, implement it alongside you, and monitor that tax planning throughout the day-to-day life of you and your business, we have custom packages for that as well. Now, hopefully, my goal from this is hopefully now when you hear the word tax, you think about tax planning first and tax preparation second. Get listening and start implementing and make that a task, a duty that you want to do throughout the year. Again, January is the start to a 12-month tax planning season for 2023. Think tax planning first, think tax filing and preparation second. The next question I want to ask, as far as creating a success, building a system and setting yourself up for success in 2023, is this idea of strategic planning. Is strategic planning important for my business? Now, we haven't talked about this much in previous podcast episodes yet, but this is an area that we want to dive deeper on. Next week on our podcast and our blog, we're going to be going through what strategic planning is and why now is a great time of the year to knock that out. So check back next week as we dive into that. So let's kind of wrap this up. Again, the question today and the topic of today is how can I set up my business for success in 2023? January is a time to do a refresh for your business and to get on the right track to start the year correct. My hope is that you take what we discussed here today and take action on it and stick to it. Get an accountability partner to ensure that you're sticking with it throughout the year. Make this the year that you do it correctly from the beginning. So some key takeaways. Take bookkeeping seriously. Update it regularly. Utilize a cloud-based accounting software to help make this easier for you. Don't have any commingling of business and personal items. Keep things separate and keep receipts and documentation. File it digitally. Keep it on file should you ever need it. Item number 2, start tax planning now. Learn, research, listen, read, but most importantly, implement. Implement when those ideas are fresh in your mind. And finally, put a strategic plan together. And again, we're going to be digging deeper into this next week. So let's do this together. Get an accountability partner. Start joining in this idea of how do we make 2023 the best year yet? Now is a great time, and stick with it. I want to thank you for listening to this episode. Again, next week, we're going to continue this topic a little bit deeper as we're going to talk all about strategic planning and why that's important to you and your business. Thank you for listening to another episode, and I will see you all next week.
This has been another episode of the Small Business Tax Savings Podcast. If you enjoy our weekly episodes, please leave a review and share with other business owners. You can find previous episodes and more information at www.taxsavingspodcast.com. Thanks for listening and have a great day.